Live from the Green Room Studios, from the spacious property of Bates Nursery and Garden Center, 3810 Whites Creek Pike, it's the At Home Show with Josh Cary and David Bates.
Welcome in, everybody. Welcome to the best radio show on television. It's the At Home Show. It's a Saturday morning tradition coming to you alive from the Green Room Studios. We're here for you, folks. Oh, look. It's a glorious day. It's going to be wonderful. Good morning, David Bates.
Good morning, Josh. And yes, it is a glorious Saturday morning. And we've got the whole cast here. We'll be talking it around, answering your questions, and generally just exploring what's going on in the gardening world today. But we will start off with, here it is. We're at Bates Nursery Station here at, that's our station, weather station here at Bates Nursery, here live from the Green Room. It's currently 55 degrees.
What are the call letters?
The call letters are
BNBBC?
It's actually it's KTNNASH 39.
But we're east of the Mississippi River. Wouldn't we have to have a W?
No, it's just they do a different name.
Okay.
Anyway, today is Saturday. It's going to be mostly cloudy. However, we do have some sunshine out right now. We're going to continue to be dealing with quite a few clouds, but it's going to be mild today. 70 degrees for the high temperatures, and that cold weather that we had from last week is amongst other things. That wasn't Josh that time.
Okay.
The cold weather from last week is now a distant memory. It's just wet now. By the way, we here at the
okay, don't hit that button again.
Here at the Bates Nursery Station, we have had 4.99 inches of rain this week. It puts us approaching 6 inches for the month, over 24 inches for the year. So, in a word, wet is what it has been, and we're going to have a little more tonight, it looks like. Then the good news is that over the course of the next 48 hours, the rainfall will generally be in the nighttime, so it won't interfere with what you got going on today. Namely, we hope part of that plan is coming out to see us at Bates Nursery and Garden Center. You see a lot of sunshine out there on that 10-day forecast, and that's a good thing. We get beyond today, get those cloudy conditions out of the way. Still going to be for Easter bunny hunting tomorrow, and the eggs that the bunnies lay, which is always strange.
Did you get your Easter bunny trap up?
I've got it in the truck.
Okay.
So, but it's going to be a little cooler tomorrow, 63 degrees and mostly cloudy. Kind of a repeat on Monday, perhaps scattered frost on Monday night. So,
No.
Well, I mean, it's probably only going to be out here at Bates Nursery. It frosts here when it frosts nowhere else. So
As soon as you bring out the
so
stuff.
if it says 39 degrees, it'll probably be 34 degrees. We generally run about 5 degrees cooler here. But the sunshine is a good theme through the week, and we by this time next week may be back into the 80-degree temperature range, which of course is nice as we approach the end of April. Again, currently here in Music City, it is 55 degrees, and I'll just give you this little quick update on the weather radar here, and you'll see that the rain is mostly to the south of us. So looks like we're gonna stay dry in the metro area, and all that moisture is elsewhere. So there's that. There's nothing in the forecast that's going to interrupt your plans, whatever that may be today.
Do you know who I bet has got their Easter bunny trap fully engaged?
No, who?
That's Austin.
Oh,
I bet Austin does.
Oh yeah, with all them young girls he's got running around his house, he's probably full time on that. Good morning, Austin, and good morning, Caroline. How are you guys today?
Doing well.
Good morning.
And of course, we don't want to forget
Himself.
the main dude himself, Tyler Blankenship. Yeah, he's
Good morning.
There we go.
Tyler gets a nice tight shot. And,
As close as I can get.
Yeah, just pick out the pores on his nose with that shot. Anyway,
very clean.
we're glad everyone. We got the full crew in today. We're here to answer your questions. Before we get into that, I want to say a big shout out to the doctor Alan Lincoln.
Yes.
Was sitting in for you last week, Josh. And although we didn't utilize him like we could have because we had so many questions, the show flew by. And we didn't go deep into the Dr. Lincoln book of lore.
The wisdom well, as it were.
He's got a lot of tales to tell. Some of them are actually true.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So anyway, thanks, Alan, for sitting in for Josh last week. And
yes, thank you,
again,
sir.
we do have your questions out on all of our many social media links. You can go to the At Home Show sites, either on Facebook or on Instagram, and you can go to the Bates Nursery sites, both on Instagram and Facebook, and they will be picked up there. Josh, I think it's got the link.
The feed.
He's got the feed on the At Home Show side, and
we see Buffalo. I see the Yard Boy. I see Alita out there already this morning.
So anyway, welcome all, and I say we get right into it, but I'm going to take it straight to Austin.
Okay.
Because those of you who subscribe to my newsletter, and by the way, I am appreciative and humbled by the number of folks who allow me to enter their inbox weekly. I've officially now crossed over and this is very strange for me to say, 27,000 people that subscribe to that.
Yes.
But we talked about tomatoes. Yeah, that's right. We talked about the true love going on in the gardening world, and that's maters, people who have tomatoes in their life. And we do feature one of the number of gardening videos from the Bates Nursery YouTube page. Austin did, I think this might have been the year before last, Austin. I'm not really sure, but the information is all still pertinent. There's a lot of questions about tomato plants. People will see words such as determinate, indeterminate. What in the world does all that mean? Why should people care? What are they going to need to be thinking about when they're selecting tomato plants with these? We've got, over 80 varieties of tomatoes on hand and more than 20 heirlooms alone. So there's a lot to think about, a lot to look at. What does that one term or those two terms mean, and why would people choose one over the other?
Well, it kind of depends on your space. So the indeterminate tomatoes are the ones that get big. They get viney.
And the word literally means they can put fruit on at any time when they're in bloom throughout the growing season, correct?
Yes, correct. So they're gonna produce over months, actually, a 2 to 3 month period. Whenever they're in bloom, and they're gonna produce fruit. Now, and like I said, they get big, so we kind of need to know your space. If you're a small garden with a little raised bed type scenario, then we're going to see about, which ones we want to choose. And the indeterminates are the ones that get big. They do produce a lot. There's hybrids, there's the heirloom types with the indeterminates. And then the opposite spectrum of that is the determinate tomatoes. And these are ones that are going to produce over typically about a month to a month and a half, all kind of at once. These are, your most common is going to be Roma, which is what we like for our paste and tomato sauces and all that. And also good just eating.
Yes.
You know what I like best about aroma is that if you were canning them, they do not require being sliced or cut. They are of such a size they'll fit right into a largemouth mason jar, so you can can them whole. They make a great, as you say, for paste for that kind of thing. They're wonderful for sauces.
They are. And another good reason to choose determinates is because of the smaller space. They don't get quite as big. They're a little bit bushier in habit. One of my favorite semi-determinate plants is a celebrity tomato, which is probably my favorite hybrid that we sell. It's an excellent performer, excellent fruit. The fruit's not huge. It's not small. It's kind of in between, but it's usually very kind of perfect. It's almost what you'd get out of a grocery store. Really, really good tomato to grow, and we sell that here all the time. So,
and those of you who go way back with Bates Nursery may remember Mary Pendleton, who was our greenhouse manager for decades, and Miss Mary, as she was lovingly known, and you better be nice she'll put you in your place. But Celebrity was her favorite tomato. She really loved them, and for good reason, as you just mentioned. They're the kind of being, since they're determinate whether you are growing them in the ground or in a container, they're really good for both purposes because they don't get overly large. And if you're confined into your space, determinants are a better choice simply because they're more easily managed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and let's talk, I guess, for a minute about heirlooms versus hybrids. We kind of need to get that.
Oh, it makes my voice break up too. Yeah. I just oh
no. Yeah, so heirlooms versus hybrids. Let's go ahead and talk about that. Hybrids are they've been crossed, they've been selected, and they've been produced by humans. So they've, a couple different tomato varieties that have crossed to get those traits that we really want. So they've got really good disease resistance. And Celebrity, as a tomato, certainly does. It has disease resistance to almost everything. So it's nice to get some hybrids out there, but at the same time, it's also nice to get some heirlooms out there as well. Heirlooms are nowhere near as disease resistant, so a little bit harder to grow as plants go. But their fruit, if they do produce and they are happy, they're going to produce fruit that's usually large, usually kind of weird looking, have odd colors and shapes, but the quality is truly excellent. So getting a mix of both is a good choice for your garden.
Where would a beefsteak fall into that?
That's an heirloom. That's an old heirloom.
Okay.
I think that's like an 1800s heirloom. Like
Okay.
that's way back, and it's an absolutely fantastic fruit. I mean, a perfect slicer tomato, if you ask me. One that you're just going to put a little salt and pepper on and just eat the whole thing. Just slice it up. One of my favorite varieties for that.
Or balsamic vinegar and a little bit of
Ooh, yes, that is.
Yeah, there you
Hey,
go.
I want to call everyone's attention to the big screen. If you can give
big
us
screen.
that shot here for just a moment, we'll talk about if you go down into the greenhouse area, and of course you come out here, you're almost certainly going to do that. Look for the big Tomato Love sign, and that's the artwork done by Bebo. He's a local artist and a good friend, so we give a shout out to Bebo
Used to
out
be
there.
a great band too.
I think that was Devo. But you know what? But they did use the upside down hanging baskets on their heads for a little known,
Very, very
little
good.
remembered factoid. So anyway, Tomato Love is what we're all about here right now. We've got that going on. So Caroline, we're going to keep you in the loop here and get you vocalized here because you've been silent all this time, and
She can't get a word in edgewise.
It's okay. Good morning
she's
again.
she's just saving it up. She's got a lot of things to talk about, and Josh has some things later on here that he's going to want to put forth to you. He made a
Okay.
trip down South Florida last week, so he got to look at some big tropicals because he was down there in the land of tropicals.
Oh yeah, I think I saw some pictures online.
Yep.
Maybe.
Yep.
Yeah. Are we ready for our first question? though?
Well, I think we'll find out in a moment. So let's fire it away, and then we'll see if we're ready.
I don't know if
cut
you're
those
ready.
eyes over at you.
I did cut those eyes over. I'm just making sure you're awake and alert. Okay, so this was probably just answered, but this comes from our very own Miriam. She asks, what's the best beginner tomato?
Perfect. Hey, Miriam. Great to see you. Well, I was just on it. Celebrity. You can't beat it. Honestly, one of the best hybrid tomatoes to grow.
Now, I'm going to counter that perhaps, even though it's indeterminate, cherry tomatoes, you get them by the hundreds on
Virtually
a single plant.
foolproof.
And yellow pear of the salad tomatoes is my personal favorite. It's a non-acid. They are deliciously sweet, and they're just cute. They're just really nice.
But they come in baskets and bunches.
Yes, be prepared.
Bunches of them.
Oh, like a ton. Yeah, like more than you could almost ever eat. They really, you just one plant's all you need. And hence the name Sweet 100, one of the best cherry tomatoes to grow. You get them by the hundreds. So cherries are always easy. Now, if you do want if you ask me, Miriam, growing a Cherokee Purple out there as an heirloom variety that was, it was founded in Tennessee, I believe, and then some seed was sent up to a guy in Pennsylvania who then kept on growing them, and we still have Cherokee purple tomatoes now. So excellent plant to grow as well. Dark fruit, excellent and very sweet. Good for slicing. So if you want a hybrid, go with Celebrity. If you want a excellent producer, go with some cherries. And then if you want an heirloom to grow out there, put a Cherokee purple out there.
What's the biggest one? What's what that will produce the biggest fruit?
Biggest Brandywine can get huge.
Okay.
And
Super,
there's
it's super fantastic in a
yeah.
hybrid. That gets really large.
That gets very large. What's that other one? Parks Whopper. Parks Whopper gets huge. That's another very
Those
large
are the
tomato.
ones that are so big you can actually use them as weapons.
Yeah.
Or
a contest.
They're the kinds that if you see the old comedy things back in the day where performers would be in vaudeville and they weren't having a good show, people would be throwing cabbages and big tomatoes. That's what they would be
That
throwing.
was Municipal Auditorium in the 80s, though. Too, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Miriam on the At Home Show page is asking, are beefsteak tomatoes good on sandwiches?
Oh, yeah.
Especially when the company
You only
with
need
bacon.
one slice. Yeah.
Yeah, I was about to say one slice fits most sandwiches.
Hence the name
which is
beefsteak,
nice.
right?
Yeah.
Well,
They're very beef. They got a lot of meat to them. There's not a
Yeah.
lot of juice inside there. There's the seed jelly is what I like to kind of say with the tomatoes. It does not have a lot of that. It's a very meaty one. Now for me, it's so sweet and so good. I actually prefer them just plain. Some of the other more high acid tomatoes I kind of like on sandwiches and BLTs, if you will. But still, very good to put on a sandwich.
And the wonderful thing is about tomatoes is that there is a tomato for every palate.
Yep.
And there are other tomatoes that produce fewer seed. There are some people who have perhaps digestive issues that maybe the seed are more easily gotten out of them. Are there ones that we sell that are particularly adept at fewer seeds or?
Yeah, to an extent, it's kind of like just grow them and kind of slice them and see. Like I was saying with the beefsteaks and the Brandywines, they have a lot of meat to them, so they have less seed inside. But I'm okay actually with some that are seedy and have some more seed jelly. It's kind of tasty to me. They're slippery, if you will. So yeah, I like it. They just you can kind of slurp them up.
All right.
That's the one to get all over your front of
And
your
on
shirt.
that
Yeah.
note, Caroline, why don't you take us down the list here, see what else we've got.
Oh,
being
right.
asked.
I do like, David, that you based your favorite tomato off of cuteness. So
Well, that
was
has
great.
its place.
Yeah, I enjoyed that. All right, our next question you guys are going to love.
Okay.
I was happy when I saw this one come in, Josh. Having a bunch of Bradford pears removed, any recommendations on what we could put in their place?
Josh, why don't you take this one?
Anything. Anything. You can put anything in that.
Okay,
place.
well, give us a minute or less about why you should not have Bradford pears in your landscape.
Beyond the invasiveness of the creature
Well,
and the wonderful buttocks-like smell in the spring, and the wonderful slimy red foliage in the fall. There's really nothing else wrong with it. They do split out quite a bit too as they get a little older, but beyond that, great tree,
and
man.
your pruning technique on a Bradford pear is what?
Flush with the ground, horizontal.
Get that chainsaw
Yep.
very, very close.
You don't want to get the blade in the dirt because you'll have to.
So, with regard to alternatives, Josh, you are correct. Pretty much anything. Austin, what are the things that come to mind that might be something that gives you a similar look, but it won't be exact, obviously.
Yeah, so typically down a driveway, we're going to keep them somewhat small as trees go. What comes to mind right now, which are showing off around town, is Quans and Cherry.
Yes.
We have those right now.
And we haven't gotten to that segment yet, but
No, not yet.
that's a good segue into
Good segue.
that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So they're in full show right now. They're the cherries that leaf out first, and then they bloom behind that, and they've got this double pink pendulous habit bloom that kind of hangs down a little bit. There's a whole number of them. Really, really showy, and a really, really tidy tree. A very much so single stem to a canopy lollipop style, shaped tree, and perfect for like a driveway scenario. So that's a good flowering tree you could use for that.
And I noticed outside this morning coming in, there are some big, big trees out there available that would be perfect to replace those. But we need to get those. We need to get the stumps ground out as well. So I mean, if you're going to have these things taken out, grind them as much as you possibly can because they're insidious about coming back. From that
They're
stump.
really bad about suckering up.
And just waste that stuff off and don't put it in your mold.
Before we move to the next question, and while we're on what's in bloom this week, you already touched on Kwanzans, and of course the other thing that was in flower somewhat last week, but are really wide open now are dogwoods, particularly the white flowering dogwoods. They are spectacular right now. What else you got on your list?
Well, that was the first on my list for sure. Dogwoods, pinks and whites are full show right now. Red buds are also still fully blooming. It's funny we call them red buds. They're not red at all. They're certainly purple, but they are blooming down the wood line and all in your yard. They're starting to crack their leaves as well, so you're going to have this flower with the leaves behind them. One I noticed last night, I was in the big city last night. I had a fancy dinner with my wife. It was fun, and as I was driving down the road, I saw a row of...
Gotcha, Caroline.
I saw a row of Washington hawthorn trees. That's one that you probably don't know. It's an underused tree, if you ask me. It's a small. That would be an excellent tree to put down your driveway. Actually, they only get 20 foot tall, and they'll get 12, 15 feet wide, and perfect little small tree.
An interesting call many years ago. Someone called in and wanted to know if we had any of those Nathaniel trees. We go, Nathaniel trees. Nathaniel tree. I said, you by chance mean Washington hawthorn? So that's the confusion. It's not Nathaniel hawthorn.
Person,
it's
David.
Washington hawthorn.
Yeah, they're a really, really pretty tree. A million tiny little white blooms all over, and they cover the whole tree, atop the whole thing. And then they're followed by red berries that the birds really like in the falls. I mean, it's like I said, it's an underused small tree that we carry. We don't sell a lot of them because a lot of people don't know about them. But whenever they're in bloom, they are really, really pretty.
What about ginkgos?
Ginkgos are just leafing. They're just starting to crack their buds. And one specific thing about ginkgos, when they're dormant, they've got massive buds, really, really chunky. My voice is cracking this morning. I stayed up late.
It's an exciting time of year. I mean, it shades of puberty keep sneaking in. Anyway, it is exciting.
It is.
And Austin cannot contain his enthusiasm.
I'm a 14-year-old giddy little boy.
Easy, Josh.
But anyway, those are some of the trees.
Real quick here, Josh. Stop.
Yeah.
Shut up, Daddy.
So yeah, and along with the Kwanzaa cherries, once again, those are in full bloom. So those are kind of the trees that are going on right now. Some of the shrubs that I wrote down, azaleas are just starting to light up. You don't ever notice azaleas whenever they're green until this time of year, whenever they start blooming, and then you're like, whoa, they are lit up. They are only about half show right now, maybe a quarter show. They'll be really, really pretty by the end of this week. So yeah, azaleas getting going. And then another one, if you're lucky enough to be able to grow a lilac shrub, they are in full bloom right now. Lilacs don't always do great here. It's a little hot for lilac, just so y'all know.
And it's a little wet.
It's a little wet, but they do smell really good. Powdery mildew happens. There's a number of things that can happen with lilac, but if you're lucky enough to have a nice one that's happy in a good spot, it is probably in full bloom right now. And then last on my list is going to be some viburnums. Not all the viburnums are blooming, but some of them are starting. And one of your most classic is the eastern snowball bush, which people... it's funny for us because people asking for snowball bushes a lot out here, and they could either mean viburnum or they could mean hydrangea. So we have to kind of feel them out and see which one they're kind of hunting. But right now, the viburnums bloom white, big, crisp, round white balls. You've probably seen them starting. Most of them are still green right now. The flowers are, but they're going to go pure white, and it will not be long before they are really looking good. And then also Korean spice viburnum. I have some in the studio today behind David's head right there. They're blooming, and they smell fantastic.
And they do.
They do. Yeah, they really do. So a number of viburnums right now. So things are happening. Things are blooming. We're excited.
I've got one more to ask you about, Austin. If Tyler, if you could go to input too. This one, I came across this one while we were down in the Florida Peninsula. I wondered if you could tell me what this one might be.
This is really a Caroline question.
Yes.
Is it?
Yes, it is.
Well, I kind of need my glasses on. 'cause I
Well,
can't see
if you look
that
at these long,
Get real close to the screen.
I'm gonna have
Yeah,
to,
come right up here close to
you look at those long.
can you text me the picture?
But
I'll just go ahead and tell you, it's a
It's a
chefalera
chefalera.
is what it is.
Oh gosh,
a
And,
tree in
it's
the
my
yard.
least favorite house plant.
And and a lot of people don't realize that they do indeed flower, and those are flower spikes up on top of them, and this just in. Everything flowers. It just might not be a showy thing. Otherwise, there would be little reproduction because you got to have seeds coming from somewhere.
Okay.
And that's what flowering does. So anyway, that was indeed a chefalera on there. And
That was huge.
Let's shift gears for just a minute, and I'll try to do it in just a minute. Let's talk about Earth Mix Garden Products. And Earth Mix is a line of soil products and amendments that it was really needed in the marketplace. Apart from there being not a good choice with regard to soils, just from the standpoint of getting things to grow and do their best. Also, there's little done with regard to organics. Earth Mix Garden Products tackles both those things. It's the most productive, viable soil, and it's very much a living soil. It's not sterile. You might think, well, don't I want it to be sterile? No. You don't want it to have wheat seeds that are germinating in it. But what you
Ground up pellets?
But what you want to have is actually ground up pellets could be okay if they're composted properly.
Oh, okay.
And the composting process is important, but you also have to have other active microbes in there that are actively breaking down the soil, fixating nitrogen, and those are what are given back to the plant in terms of nutrition. So what you get when you use Earth Mix Garden Products are the most healthy, viable plants. And healthy plants that are growing well on their own organically are naturally more resistant to pests and diseases. The great thing about Earth Mix Garden Products, it is available all over the Middle Tennessee and Kentucky area. Go over to earthmix.net, click on the Find Earth Mix tab, and if you'll scroll down the map there, you'll see there's a whole bunch of pins all over the map. You can zoom in to Middle Tennessee area, for instance, and you'll see that there is a lot of them concentrated right there, but they're also all throughout Kentucky and in southern Indiana and Ohio. Just remember this, when you think of Earth Mix Garden Products, success begins at the ground level when you use Earth Mix Garden Products, and we hope that you'll support the folks who are good enough to carry that product. And one final note about it is that all evidence suggests that you probably will get nearly 10 times the effectiveness as far as reducing plant loss goes. So whereas people who tend to plant things that are really avid gardeners lose about 3%, our studies show that it's only about 0.3%
Wow.
with Earth Mix. So check that out and get your gardening game going with Earth Mix Garden Products.
Absolutely. Quickly, we had a question on the Facebook page from Alita, and she wants to know how far back you can cut nandinas.
To the ground.
Yep.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, you're not going to hurt an established nandina is
Growing machine.
It's a growing machine. Yeah, so you can literally cut it to the dirt. It's going to come right back, get 3 to 4 foot. It kind of depends on which one, I guess. If this is the old school, just
like a
Domestic.
bamboo.
just domestica, yeah, nandina, that one for sure. Take it back as far as you want. You're not going to hurt it at all.
And that plant has fallen somewhat out of favor simply because it is a prolific berry producer. The berries come as a result of what? Flowers, because those are the seeds. And when birds eat them, they are bad about sprouting elsewhere. So they have fallen out of favor with a specific regard to people who are trying to keep natives, and natives are very important. So if you see nandina coming up where you didn't plant them, you might want to take those out.
I've got some rogue nandina popping up in the woods. There's like 6 of them.
Really?
Nandinas and mahonias are also bad about
Mahonia's
that.
bad,
They're
That's the guy from Kansas City.
No, that's another guy.
Oh, okay.
Caroline, what's your next question over there? Let's move
All
along.
right.
We do have one on the Bates Facebook page.
Okay.
Oh,
If we, it's,
Well, okay.
jump in there. It's like you're the producer or something.
Wow.
what's the most creative way to incorporate planters or landscape planting with vegetables that you have seen? We have an abundance of deer, and the only items that are safe are the above, which are close to the house, which I don't see the above here. And is there a chance that any groupings with shrubs or flowering annuals or perennials could hurt the vegetables?
No, it wouldn't hurt them. I mean, if you planted something that was going to get too big or something, you can maybe shade out some lower things. I guess that could be an issue. But no, I mean, interplanting. Think about things like edibles. There's some edibles that are shrubby that you can incorporate into a veggie bed that produce both fruit but are also pretty. Blueberries certainly come to mind. Blueberries are in bloom right
Yes.
now. Well, I
Sage.
forgot about the blueberries.
Oh,
Oh,
man.
no,
Yeah.
Austin.
No, there you go.
Sorry.
Oh, man.
Yeah,
only
blueberries.
thing-
Got it.
Rosemary.
The one thing that you might have concerns about, and we kind of covered it earlier, is if you're using indeterminate tomato plants, they're going to grow so big they could get all over onto things that are woody ornamentals and do real damage to them. So you might need to think about that. But other than that, you're pretty much golden.
But a tomato plant is not a particularly attractive plant. Yeah, I mean, they're not ugly or anything, but I mean, they're,
they get a lot of leaf drop. Talk about that for just a second, Austin. About as we get on into the season, there's verticillium wilt is an issue with tomatoes, and that's the tendency for leaves to die off at the bottom. It doesn't mean that they're diseased, but actually it does.
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean that they're bad plants. It
No.
just means that just happens particularly with indeterminate tomato plants.
Yeah, and you have to just expect imperfection when it comes to tomatoes. I got to just say that it's rare that you're going to get leaves from the bottom to the top just perfect all the time. If you ever see yellowing leaves down below,
Take 'em off.
Take them off. Yeah,
Yep.
there's no reason to keep black, any spotty leaves, any yellow leaves. Be clean with your tomatoes. Try your best to be clean, especially when they're young and they're small. If those lower leaves are starting to get that way, take them off early and you'll see less issues later on. Because a tomato, as you know, if you've grown them, they get very large very pretty quickly.
Yeah.
So keeping them clean when they're young is going to keep them healthy and get you good fruit through the whole season.
And Caroline is doing stretching exercises
her
because we've
back
got her
must
so
hurt
out of
today.
the.
Yeah.
Yeah, a little bit.
Let's get you back
It's
in the loop
spring,
here,
so-
Caroline.
Wait.
Can you find a question?
No,
for you?
Tyler, I'm giving myself a question.
Did we just lily pad from okay, never mind.
What?
I'm being
Inside
quiet.
joke. Yeah, okay.
Okay.
Lily pad.
Here we go. Question time. I think I watered my snake plant too much. This plant is soft at the bottom. Tips. Oh no. So if it's soft at the base and it's starting to kind of bend out, you have overwatered your plant and it's probably you've got root rot going on. So what I would suggest is hopefully not all of the leaves coming out are soft, and you can cut back anything that's soft, anything that looks rotten. It also smells really bad, so you'll be able to really tell once you start cutting into it. I would remove all of that, let the plant dry out completely. You can even take it out of the pot to help get air to the roots. If the roots are black, I mean, it's kind of it's not fully a lost cause, but you've definitely lost the plant as a whole. Now, if everything is soft at the base, what I would suggest doing is just cutting off like an inch up above that soft, rotten area in the plant. Cut your snake plant, and then you can prop it, stick it in water. I would suggest like an inch of water in a jar, put it in there in some indirect light. It doesn't like a lot of hot afternoon sun, and it should prop, and then you'll have a new plant.
Propagate.
Propagate. That's right.
Okay.
Thank you, Josh.
No.
Now,
So-
and one of the things that is the most disturbing thing, I would say it's the most misdiagnosed thing going on with people's plants, is when they see it turning brown on the ends of the leaves, be it a snake plant or a schefflera or a ficus, whatever. When you see the ends of the leaves turning brown, people frequently misdiagnose that as, well, it must be getting dry. No, that's the plant saying, please let me get dry.
Yeah, please stop.
Yeah. And it's like pouring gas on a fire trying to
Right.
put it out. And
It
I've
is.
been there, and that's not a good look either.
Well, you learn. I
Yes.
mean, you learn from killing your plants, and I tell people that all the time. And the biggest thing is overwatering with house plants. I mean, it's the biggest factor in killing them. And with my Sansevieria at home, I think I've watered them twice since December. So I hardly water mine.
Yeah, and the finger is one way to try. The other thing is to simply lift the pot. If it still feels heavy, because it can get dry on top and still be very damp down low, let the thing dry out. Just, if you're in any way uncertain, let it go another week.
Yes.
Yeah, let it go.
Miriam
Or
has
two
said
like
that Miriam also commented a little bit. Now, hate to interrupt, but
No, you don't.
no, I don't. But she said her
I
neighbor
have
and
to
she saw thousands of honeybees yesterday, and they weren't sure, a swarm of them, what to do. I would call the Nashville Bee Society and have them come out there if it's still there. But that's springtime too, which is a really cool thing if you've never seen one.
And a lot of times, a hive will produce a second queen, and then that one will move off, and then a number.
That's a very good thing.
They have a split allegiance, which is not bad because that queen will produce her own brood, and they'll have many thousands more. So the lifespan of a honeybee is not long in duration. So they need to continue to produce more.
But a beekeeper will come out there and try to collect them if it's still there, and they'll find the queen and give them a nice, happy home.
Yes, they would love to have those.
Absolutely would.
So Nashville Beekeepers Association is a great place to look for that.
Do we know where Miriam lives? Is she in Davidson County or?
Yes, she is in Davidson County.
Okay.
Matter of fact, we're going to have Miriam on the show here in, here in just a couple of weeks.
Okay.
Have we figured out on what she's going to come in live? Or
I think she's going to come in live.
Wonderful. So we look forward to having Miriam on the show. She feels like a member already because she contributes heavily for really good questions. And
Yes.
not all we get a lot of great questions, but hers are especially wonderful.
The questioniest.
Yes, she's
Yes.
the questioning. Yes, my connection gone. Oh, I know. Here's the problem: the fact that we switched inputs, and I didn't put
Got
that
to
back
re-input
on.
your inputs.
Yeah, I forgot. I
Let's
failed
get a
to.
question in there while
Sure
we're
enough.
inputting
Whatever
it
input.
is.
All right, here we go. Is it okay to transplant an oak leaf hydrangea that was planted in the fall? It's too close to the house.
Sure.
Sure. Yes, it is okay. The leaves have probably started to emerge at this point, I would say. So it's, the ideal time would be over the winter time whenever it has no leaves. That's the least amount of stress that you could put on it. But anything can be moved anytime. It's just that, how you kind of gotta baby it after you do that. So
Yeah, don't delay. If you're
Don't
gonna
delay.
do it
Dig as much root as you can. Have your hole already dug where you want to put it, and take it over and transfer it. Make sure you press in the soil tightly around the roots, and then water sufficiently, and you should be fine.
I've been doing a lot of work in my side yard, and I transplanted a coral bark Japanese maple that was just leafing out, and I was like, oh no, this is bad. It's just starting to put the energy into the leaves. And you know what? Nothing happened.
It's okay.
It was fine. You know why, though? Because I watered it in really well, and I stepped around the root ball, and I managed to make sure that it's really secure in there so the roots didn't go into shock. I also dug a little bit wider around the root ball, just, so you don't rip too many roots up. And
Well, you're going to cut some, and plants are, particularly when a plant that you're transplanting has already been transplanted previously, it has developed a much more fibrous and well branching root system, which helps to minimize future transplant shock. So certainly this early in the season, particularly if it was just planted in the fall, it hasn't gotten well rooted in yet.
Yeah.
And you should be able to move it with minimal impact. It might not even show any signs of distress at all if you can do it properly.
Lovely. I transplanted 3 limelight hydrangeas that were, I think, 5 years old in the winter, and I neglected them. I didn't get much fruit. I let them sit out for about 2 weeks just on my driveway, and then I stuck them very shallowly in the ground. And they are cracking, and they're going to look amazing, and I'm so excited.
Buy a lottery ticket today too.
Yeah. All right. Are we ready for
Yes.
new
Yeah,
question?
Let's keep it moving.
We have a 2-parter. Get ready.
Uh-oh.
Part 1. Invasive grass is in my landscaping. How do I stop it from taking over? Let's go ahead and go into part 2 because we can answer all of this at one time. Part 2, I layered weed fabric, gravel, cardboard, and 4 inches of mulch. Still broke over.
David, we've often said that Bermuda grass is a lifestyle choice. You're either gonna get rid of it or you're not.
And if it is indeed Bermuda grass,
sounds like
the
it.
invasive grass to which they're referring, if a single crack of light can get through, they will find an opportunity. And generally what happens is that if you have Bermuda grass rhizomes in the soil and you put any kind of covering around there, that will force them to grow up right around the plants that you're trying to keep them from growing around. So it's difficult. Bermuda grass is one of those things that requires
diligence,
a lot of diligence. It's and you may require the use of a post-emergent herbicide, something, glyphosate products or something that will work for that. Known frequently under the brand name of Roundup. As with any kind of chemical you're going to use, understand how to handle it properly, and wear protective clothing. I
would pull it back instead of just cutting it and pulling it back. I would try to pull it back out of the bed as best you could, lay it into the on the sidewalk or the yard, and then spray it. And allow
That's a good way to do it.
And
also,
pull it back off.
I just wonder though, right now, Bermuda's not up yet. It's still dormant, like true dormant. So I don't know if he's talking. If this is right now a grass, I don't know.
It's got to be.
What do you think, David? Maybe nutsedge? Not Johnson grass. It likes it hot too.
If it's something coming out right now, it would have to be nutsedge. But even
Maybe.
it is not all that just yet.
No,
so
it's not.
I got to believe this is a question that's maybe coming back from last season that they're thinking about now, which is good to be thinking about it.
And the way that he would tell is if his lawn was brown in the wintertime instead of green, chances are he's got Bermuda.
Yeah,
Very
and
good
still
chance.
brown even right now. I mean, I got large patches of Bermuda in my lawn, and
even that
There it was.
even that can make your voice break.
Well, that would make it would make me cry.
Oh yeah.
But just diligence and the pump up sprayer with
And
the
we're
Sharpie
picking on Austin today. Caroline, what other questions
We've
you got
got
out there?
another grass question, so
Okay.
let's move on to that. We'll transition there. My yard is full of weeds. How can I organically and inexpensively grow grass?
Ooh,
good luck.
Oh boy,
Good luck.
If you live in Middle Tennessee, you're gonna have weeds in your lawn, unfortunately. And organically, hands and knees, pull them with your. Honestly,
the only thing that works pretty well, and it does have a dual benefit, if you use corn gluten as a herbicide. Now, what corn gluten does is that it will, for certain types of weeds, it does desiccate the soil enough or dries it out enough where it will inhibit the germination of some seeds, and it also is an organic form of nitrogen, so it will really do nice things for your lawn. It's totally chemical free. It's not, as with many things, it's not inexpensive.
No.
But if you've got organic garden plants, if you're doing a vegetable garden or whatever nearby, you can use that with absolute safety and confidence, and know that you're not harming anything. Now, Renee, my wife, and I several years ago made the decision that we were going to stop using herbicides in our lawn. So we tolerate some weeds, and we just try to, keep it fertilized with organic fertilizer and keep it mowed. And you know what? It looks nice.
Yeah.
It's just not. It's not a monoculture. And if
not golf course quality.
And if that's the only definition of what's a beautiful lawn, then mine is ugly. but it looks pretty nice.
You have the Heinz 57 lawn, though.
Hi, Tyler here.
Hey, there's Tyler.
There he is.
I recently ripped up this entire overgrown rock garden on the side of my house, and I've been working on this for 2 months. So here's a time investment for you. The whole area is probably like 300 or 400 square feet. I removed all of the top layer of everything. That includes all of the weeds that were in there and debris. And then I took about a cubic yard of earth mix garden and added it to the topsoil. And I scratched it in and mixed it in, and then I spread some grass seed, and I've got grass growing right now.
Yep.
I saw a picture of it.
And it was a lot of labor, but it
was
really
a labor
kind
of love, though, wasn't it?
My heart is bursting out of my chest, and then it's grass. That's where I'm at right now. So
Well, I don't know about you guys, but I'm feeling a little touched by that. That was really special.
That was a moment.
But it does because gardening is not easy. It's very therapeutic, I think, in a lot of ways. But it's not something that you can dabble at and really have wonderful success. People who are really successful gardeners stay at it, and that'll give us a chance to segue here for just a moment. Talk about Bates Nursery and Garden Center. That's where we are right now, down in the green room at Bates Nursery, and we invite you to come out and see us. If we don't have it, it probably doesn't exist, or it's at least not available, because we have the term plethora.
Full.
Yes, we got.
Gosh,
If you talk about anything with respect to annual flowers or your warm season and cool season vegetable plants, natives, pollinators, perennials, ornamental grasses, woody ornamentals, trees, shrubs, ground covers, and Caroline would be really offended if I didn't mention tropicals, because we have
probably cry a little
we
bit.
have a selection of tropicals, I believe, second to none. So
many.
And in addition to all that, we have all the cool containers, which Caroline has personally handled each one in place we've got here. They can become yours. Just come out and see us, and we'll find you a nice plant to put in the nice containers. And we also are an official seller of Earth Mix Garden products, and we want you to have the very best success. When you use that, say if you use Earth Mix Landscape with your plantings, you can be assured you're going to have really excellent success. And if you're using indoor plants, Proganics I is a great choice. For outdoor planters, Proganics O is a great choice. And if you just need to add some vitality to your existing garden or containers, you can use Earth Mix Supernatural to re-energize your existing organic soil. So no matter what you're looking for, we have it here at Bates Nursery and Garden Center. And what we really specialize in is expertise. I'm very proud to say that the staff that I have been fortunate to assemble here at Bates Nursery is second to none. We're all about trying to help you get the right plant in the right place the first time. If you bring out pictures on your smartphone or tablet, we'll be glad to try to help you. On a busy day like today is probably not when you're going to get the maximum amount of time. If you come out during the week, we have more time to be able to actually help you design in a little more depth, because it will likely be busy today. It is Easter weekend, by the way, and we will be open tomorrow from noon until 4. So we invite you to come out and see us today, 9 to 4 on Saturdays, actually Monday through Saturday, 9 to 4, noon to 4 on Sundays, and yes, we will be open Easter Sunday. So come see us, Bates Nursery and Garden Center, where we've been beautifying Nashville since 1932, and that's right, my grandmother did indeed start this business way back when, our 90th year, our emerald anniversary. Come see us, Bates Nursery and Garden
I got a question.
Center. Certainly.
You got any tomato plants?
We got a couple.
Oh, okay.
Just a few.
We got more than a couple benches. We have an incredible selection of tomato plants and all other. If you're looking for hot peppers, mild peppers, bell peppers, whatever.
Dill?
We've got dill.
Cool.
Yeah.
We got any herb you could think of.
Yes. And so it's great staff down in the greenhouse area as well. So, and we of course have redone all of that. If you haven't been out this season, you'll notice that it's a lot brighter than it has been. A lot more headroom. So just come on out and see us. We'll be right here.
I have a question on behalf of somebody on the Bates Facebook page. And sorry we took a little while to get to your question, but I figured while we're talking about the nursery, it might be the best time to ask.
Okay.
Talavera, when do you think we'll be getting more of that great Mexican pottery?
Whenever they show up.
Yeah.
It's kind of how they roll.
It could be any day. Could be, I mean, literally, it will be any day. So
Yeah. There's one guy, or sometimes two, that comes up in this big truck and a very long trailer
he comes
loaded down.
Straight from
Straight from
Guanajuato.
Mexico. Yep.
From where?
And Guanajuato.
Guanajuato.
In el centro del país de Mexico. So it's right there.
Chihuahua?
No, Chihuahua.
no.
Guanajuato.
Guanajuato?
See.
See?
So Yeah, come see us. We'll have it. Just don't know when he's going to show up.
Yeah,
So
he
it
shows
should
up
be
just
here
randomly.
soon.
But he pretty much comes to us, and because we offload a lot, and, so we'll have him. So come along.
Mrs. Bates wanted to remind you that you also, when you take care of your lawn, you have it aerated and overseeded in September of each year.
Yes.
Yes,
Yep.
so that is the best way to have a good, healthy, organic lawn is to keep it freshened up.
Yes. We don't. Nothing worse than your lawn getting stale.
Damn.
No,
Okay.
don't want that to happen.
Can't have that out there in the hysteric district.
No, we don't want that. We
No.
did just get a live question on our
Okay.
Instagram. Someone asked, do you have an audience area in the green room?
Wow.
We should probably build that out.
It's
Live
the-
audience.
Well, it's the entire garden center, but we're not open yet. So
Really sweet. Thanks.
yes, that is very
I'll
nice.
get to working on that.
Yes, Tyler, that would be fun.
Maybe that's.
I support this
Maybe that's
idea.
maybe that's a future live event thing for.
We got
sometime.
you got the hoopy looking thing out there, the building
Yeah,
back
we-
there. We could have it.
we-
The
we-
amphitheater is what we
Yeah,
call it,
We
too.
probably
so-
won't get that together this spring, but we'll take that under advisement.
I got an idea, David.
Okay.
We rip off the back section of the roof and we put people above us looking down on us,
Yes.
like Saturday Night
Ooh.
Live, where we're just in the pit and everybody can see everything.
Okay, right.
You're onto something, Tyler.
Sounds good.
All right.
Well, you just make that happen then. How about that?
Okay.
Yeah, draw up some plans. and
Call up
we'll-
Roger and me and Austin will do it.
Okay, we've got just a handful of questions left.
Okay.
St. John's wort has growth from bottom but little from stems. Is this normal?
It can be, yes. And if it's just coming from the ground and not from the stems, it may be. This might be a thing where we wait, say, a week or two just to see if it's going to crack from those stems or not. If it's not leafing out from there, it's best to just trim off the dead sticks that were on top and just let that new growth form down below. A lot of times you get a much healthier looking plant anyway if you let them just form back from the roots. So, you know,
And there's a lot of different cultivars of hypericum, which is what St. John's wort is. So some of them grow a lot more upright and bushy, and some are more ground cover type. So it's not unusual to have some dieback on perennial type items. That may be the case.
Yeah.
So I'm with you on that one. Just give it a wait, see what happens.
That's a good pollinator, isn't it? Is that one of the ones that they
it's
consider?
got a beautiful bloom actually. Joy, our perennial gal, has it tattooed on her arm. That's her favorite
she does.
little bloom.
That is an endorsement.
That's
Yeah.
what you call commitment.
That's right. Yeah, she loves that plant. So, but yeah, like I said, you know, let them come back from the roots. They usually look a lot better if you let them do that anyway.
That's what mine's doing, and I cut it back like a week ago, and it's starting to really come back from the ground. All right, I put my monstera in the sun. now that it's warm and the leaves are yellow and sad. Okay, so when it starts to get warm outside, you want to
Now,
move all your plants out.
To make it clear now, they didn't say their mom, Sarah.
Their
These are
mom, I put my mom Sarah in the sun. Now she's yellow and sad.
It was Monstera.
Monstera, yes.
Right.
So one of the most popular houseplants, I'd say. You're probably talking about the split leaf monstera. So this happens a lot. You get excited when it warms up outside. The sun's out. You think your houseplants want to get that sun, so you're going to stick it outside straight in the sun. That's not something we want to do. It's going to sunburn the leaves, which is basically what has happened to your monstera. So I would suggest acclimating those plants to any kind of direct sunlight if they've been inside for, the last 4 months in the fall and winter. You can stick it on a covered porch under a tree and then slowly get into the sun. Now, if you just stick it out in that full sun, especially if it's afternoon sun, it's going to shock the leaves. And there's no coming back with the leaf burn. You didn't kill the plant, but you'll want to go ahead and remove those leaves. I did that to one of my philodendron a year or two ago. I stuck it out to get some rain, forgot to bring it back in. Plant was completely sunburnt. I cut off all the leaves and now it looks great. And plants do like to be trimmed on a little bit, so it's not the end of the world. You might end up having a healthier plant in about 3 months.
I've done that so many times where
I've
I've
done it a
taken my
lot.
houseplant out and put it into the sun. That's crack number 4 or 5 maybe. What is wrong with me? But still, like I said, yeah, I've put plenty of plants outside, way too much sunlight, and fried them. I mean, just fried them, turned them white, turned them yellow.
Yeah.
They just, I have too much sun. But it's an experiment. It was fun. And like Cary said, I didn't kill the plant. I just lost those older leaves. Sometimes it's nice to get rid of those older leaves and let some new ones form. They look fresh, they look clean, they're ready to go. So if you did sunburn it, it ain't dead. Just just wait, give it some time, and slowly acclimate it.
Okay, Josh has done some field research, and he's got a presentation he wants to bring to the program this time.
Would we call this an invasive species in Florida, David?
Gnomes?
No.
Oh, you're talking about the ryope there.
No. I mean, the gnome village there, would you call it?
Well, I think you were mentioning earlier, and we've mentioned it a number of times, one pink flamingo is tacky. But
yes.
If you have 47, it's a statement.
So we're really talking over here on the Indian River Drive.
You got some gnomes going on there. So, yeah, hey, if you're into gnomes, obviously this individual is. Yeah, there you go.
We need some more plants.
No doubt about it.
Yep. And they're low maintenance. That's the good.
They're
That's
no
important.
maintenance. Yeah.
Oh, wow. So witty this early in the
Amazing.
morning.
You don't know me. Don't even try. All right.
Are there other questions out there?
Yes, we have two more, and they are about fertilization. We'll start with our houseplant question and then move to a more
Yardboy showed up there on the
outdoor
question.
question.
Okay.
Let's find it. All right. So my friend was saying that this is the time to fertilize indoor plants with what and how. So yes, I usually start fertilizing my plants around this time when they're being active, when they're actively pushing out new growth. Even if you keep your plants inside all year, they still know the seasons are changing. And they tend to go fairly dormant. They just don't really grow in the winter. So I've already fertilized my plants. I think I started fertilizing them last week. I usually use just a general houseplant fertilizer, a 10-10-10. I like the liquid fertilizer. You can use Miracle Grow. And spring and summer is when you're going to want to fertilize. I usually do my last fertilization probably in July, maybe beginning of August before I stop, because I do bring all my plants in and I don't want to have a lot of new growth in the winter because a lot of them aren't getting good light. So if they are fertilized, they're going to want to grow and they're going to grow weird and try to reach for that lighting.
Okay.
You also have the option of doing like a granular fertilizer for your houseplants. Osmocote is one I recommend, and it's a slow release, so you'll only have to use it like once every 4 months. So you could probably do it just one time right now is what I do with some of mine. And then other plants have a more specific need for their fertilization, like cacti. I have a cactus fertilizer that I use for my, 45, 50 cactus plants that I have in my house. So, yep. And then the next question, just moving into that, is should you add fertilizer to plants every spring, and how should I know if I should? And I'm assuming that's going to be outdoor plants.
Yeah, it's good practice to do that when plants are young. Now, do know, y'all, our soil here is pretty fertile. So once a tree or shrub or an outdoor plant, a perennial gets established here and it's been in the ground for 2 or 3 seasons and you see it actively growing, especially like large trees, you can fertilize if you want, but honestly, they're getting a lot of their nutrient from further down, deeper in the soil. Not always necessarily recommended. Now, to keep healthy, plants healthy and happy, adding compost to the top, our supernatural here, just to kind of put on top as a top dressing is a good idea to do. But yes, when they're actively growing in the spring is when we want to do that.
Hey, and what you get when you use really high quality compost like Supernatural is you get a lot of natural fertility without doing a blast of nitrogen on there. So it's a slow feed. It's the plants can take it up without there being this ridiculous flush of growth, but being able to demonstrate really healthy foliage and have good productive growth, but not excessive.
And continuing to do this year after year after
Right.
year, you build that soil culture, I would call it. Just get
Yeah,
it
we
going.
want you to have good soil culture.
Like, it's always good to have good soil culture.
Melinda on the Bates Facebook page asked, are there any new 2022 cultivars that are worth checking out? And also, I'll just mention this, May 12th, we're going to have Mr. Brent Grunfeld visit from Monrovia Plants talking about new varieties for
It's
2022.
actually Grunfeld, but yes.
Sorry, Mr. Grunfeld. I don't mean to
Him
butcher
too?
your last name. But yes, we'll have Brent in studio for a botanical boot camp webinar on new varieties for 2022.
Very cool.
Well, that one will get nationwide coverage right there. So what you got on that one, Austin?
Well, there's new stuff every year. I'll say that, and a lot of people ask about it. Proven Winners is certainly the leader probably in developing new cultivars of things. We're getting new stuff all the time. So yes, there are certainly new cultivars. Off the top of my head, there's so many, y'all, I can't really remember. There's some new hydrangeas out there.
There's always new hydrangeas.
Always new hydrangeas. There's y'all are familiar with Limelight hydrangea, I'm sure. There's a Limelight Prime now that I think you ought to check out. I talked to the growers that are growing this plant, and they really, really like it. It's got very sturdy stems. They don't flop all that bad. They stay a little tighter, a little more compact. So that could be one you could try out this year as a good little hydrangea to grow. But
yeah, and there are some things that you need to be mindful of when you are. And Austin is cracking us up this morning.
Cracking blooms.
Yes, when you are purchasing plants that are a new introduction, you just need to know that you're participating in the research.
You're a guinea pig, man.
yes, you need to help us.
And there are plants that have been around for a number of years that are still quite good. A lot of new varieties are put out there because that's how people who hybridize plants make money. So they want you to buy there. So anyway, not all of them are wonderful. So do your own research and
just come walk around the nursery and see. If
posted.
it's not in your yard, it's a new cultivar.
One last one. Miriam's saying now that it's April 15th, are we good to go with annuals?
Hopefully,
yeah.
Miriam. I'm
Look
done
at
with the
Tuesday.
cold.
Yeah.
So
Look at
done.
Tuesday.
We're all done with it. We want it to be good, but it's still a touch risky.
Yep.
But hey, let's
Absolutely.
do it. Come on out today, Miriam. We need to see you.
All righty, folks. Music means that this edition of the best radio show on television is coming to a close.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Bill, for that tagline, because we're going to use it from now on.
Absolutely.
And for
Why
everybody
would
here,
we not?
I don't know. We've stolen things before. It's always worked in the past.
that's true.
Class.
All righty, folks. It is a Saturday morning tradition. It's the At Home Show. The entire cast thanks you for participating this week and invites you back next week. Watch the Facebook page and watch the Bates page because there's stuff showing up live all through the week now. So it's a good thing for you to see. BNBBC. Go out to YouTube, subscribe, like us on Facebook, share us, follow us, all the social media platforms, and we appreciate it if you do so. Thanks again. We'll see you right here from the Green Room next Saturday morning for the At Home Show.